There's no endeavor that's more vulnerable than taking an idea that you have created within your heart and soul and bringing it to life and showing it to the world.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other things that are equally as vulnerable, like maybe being naked in front of people in Times Square, but like that's pretty equal, right?
And from the outside looking in, I haven't had the privilege to get to know you super deeply yet, but from the outside looking in, Powerhouse looks like your one knockout. Everybody loves it. It's the one that, has all the support. What has been so special and so significant about that company specifically that made it a home run?
And I think the success of Powerhouse Women is because the energy that I've built it with is completely different. It is so much more surrendered. It's intuitive. There's nothing that I'm forcing.
It's hard to find genuine, authentic women who are not competitive, who do want to support each other, and they don't see each other as competition.
The reason that the energy around Powerhouse Women feels clean is because we even invite those conversations into the room. Powerhouse Women ended up becoming, it wasn't initially the intention I set out with, but what it ended up becoming was the answer to what I needed. I think we all end up creating that, which was a place where it felt safe to be my most ambitious self.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Eat, Pray, Manifest. So today's guest needs absolutely zero introduction, but I will try my best to encompass the incredible woman that she is. She is a serial entrepreneur, a best-selling author, founder, master community builder, and founder of Powerhouse Women. Through her events, podcast, books, and social presence, she has become an absolute guiding light for women all around the world who are ready to step into their best selves. For over a decade, she has grown a powerhouse community driven by her belief that women are not meant to do life or business alone. It's the one and only Lindsey Schwartz.
Hi.
Hello, welcome. I'm so grateful to have you.
I'm so happy to be here.
I feel like we have so much that we could chat about. We were just talking about the fact that we could probably chat for hours and hours. There are so many things that I would love to learn more about you and so much knowledge and wisdom that I feel like you can share with my audience. And where I would like to start is that everyone today, of course, knows you as an absolute powerhouse, but take me back. I've seen a few episodes where you explained growing up in Wisconsin. And I want to know a little bit about how your childhood was. And did you always know that you would be an entrepreneur? Did you always have big dreams, big influences? How exactly did your childhood and upbringing lead you to become the absolute powerhouse that you are now?
Yeah, isn't it so funny when you connect the dots looking backwards? In some ways, I think it was always there. And then in so many other ways, it wasn't. So I am an oldest daughter. I think that's worth mentioning, kind of like the stereotypical oldest child. I'm also a Capricorn, which is, if you don't know, like astrologically, that is like the leader, the CEO. So I think I kind of just came out of the womb wanting to set goals and achieve them in a way. But I grew up in a smaller town, in an environment that didn't necessarily know how to nurture the size of my ambition and my dreams. So I really fell into what I was shown was the dream life. You go to school, go to college, you get a good job, and that's it. I mean, my parents both worked really, really hard their whole lives. They're retired now, and I was the first one in my family to even go to college. So my first job out of college brought me to Arizona, where I live now. And you probably don't know this about me, but I sold carpet.
I heard. Yeah, I heard on a prior episode. That's so funny.
There's no way to make that sound cooler.
Yeah.
But I just remember hearing, I met with this company. I loved the people. And I think all I heard was they were going to move me somewhere it didn't snow. And they were going to give me a company car and a cell phone. And I was like, I'm sold. Made it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm set. Yeah. Now, the company car was a minivan. So I was 24.
It was something.
Driving around Scottsdale. I mean, I had no shame whatsoever. It was free car, free gas. I would like double click the button and all the doors would open.
Love.
It was a time. So, but what was so beautiful about it is I didn't have entrepreneur role models growing up.
Okay.
There was one family member, now looking back, that I think was more entrepreneurial, but I didn't really have a model for it. So I didn't know I could dream that big.
Yeah.
But what I think the universe is always kind of guiding us in the direction of our bigger purpose. And I was always really interested in personal growth. So I would ride around in that minivan.
Yeah.
Put my Success Magazine CDs.
Oh, I love it.
I sound like I'm ancient. I'm only 42, but like I sound as though I actually was born in the 1900s, which I was.
So, you know what's so funny? Not to interrupt you. My son is in 6th grade, and he came home the other day, and he told me that the kids are referring to us, the parents, as born in the 1900s.
mean,
And I'm
we
like,
were.
1905 is much different than 1999, but
Right.
to them, we're ancient.
Basically the Oregon Trail is what they're saying. So
Humbling.
it was just this perfect storm where when I got into my first year in that career was 2008 when the recession hit. So
Yeah.
commercial construction was hit pretty hard. And
Yeah.
it was the first time that I said to myself, I think I need a plan B just in case the economy, shifts and I don't have a job anymore. And I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for that. I think that's been a guiding light for my entire journey is I've always had this ability to take what on the surface looks like a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I can find a positive in it, not
Yeah.
in a spiritual bypassing, not allowing space for my emotion, but I just have always deep down known that I am more in control of my reality than
Yeah.
we are often told that we are.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that really kickstarted my entrepreneurship journey. But when I really think back, I think this is like so funny to reminisce about. One of my favorite things to do when I was little was to take this Fisher-Price tape recorder and microphone, and I would like host little interviews.
Oh,
Sometimes
my
it was just
goodness.
me talking to myself,
Yeah.
me talking to my imaginary friend, but to think now how much, I have a podcast. That's one of the things that I love to
Yeah.
do. I was always kind of a little performer,
Mm-hmm.
and now I get to host events and speak on stages. So
Yeah.
I do think a lot of the journey, probably for most of us, is reclaiming those parts of ourselves that,
Mm-hmm.
there's a long time in between that I really felt like that part of me, that ambition of mine was too much.
Yeah. And that's a huge thing too, which I know we'll get into later about surrounding yourself with the right people who let you become your best self, because a lot of times in today's
Yeah.
society that can be suppressed.
Mhm.
So I want to get into that. But before that, kind of walk me through a little bit of your business timeline. I know you were in sales, you had the carpet company. And then I've heard also that you thrived in an MLM before you actually jumped into your own business. Just so people know watching, they obviously see you killing it now. You're a huge inspiration. Kind of walk me through from when you were in sales with the carpet company leading into the MLM, and then with what you learned through the MLM, how exactly that led you into where you're at now.
Yeah. Gosh, you're taking me all the way back. This is awesome. It's so fun to think back on the journey. And I did pretty well in network marketing, but nowhere near, top of the company, nowhere near the success that I think I even thought I would create there.
Yeah.
But it taught me everything that I eventually then turned into my own business. It taught me about sales. It taught me about the importance of it. I know something we both share, the belief that like the business grows to the extent that I grow.
100%.
I really don't work on my business. I work on myself, and I really learned that there. But I will never forget. So imagine, so I'm working in commercial construction. That's the carpet company.
Yeah.
Very interesting environment.
Yeah.
I walked into my first network marketing meeting, where they're kind of presenting the opportunity, and I was like, where have these people been my whole life?
Yeah.
They were talking about growth. There was such an atmosphere of positivity. Plus, I was really passionate about health and fitness. So the fact that this was a health company, it was, there were all these people who were really healthy, and it was such a stark contrast to the environment that I was working in day to day.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what this is, but I'm in.
I want to know more.
Yeah.
It was like you had found your people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the time it was, we were engaged at the time, my former partner and I, and he was the one who was really talked into this opportunity by not someone at all that I would ever take business advice, like his sketchy ass coworker. So I walk in just knowing he's like, I don't know, Dean talked me into this, this thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a pyramid scam. I don't know. I'm going to check it out. I didn't know what that meant. I thought it was like, I was like, is that a game show? What do you mean a pyramid? So I walked in like totally blind, but I think that was for my benefit because I wasn't skeptical enough to write it off.
Mm-hmm.
And all I saw was, oh, if these people can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
And so that really was such a confidence building experience. I built a network marketing team for about 5 years before making the transition fully to Powerhouse Women.
Yeah.
And it was the best entrepreneur school.
Yeah. I think a lot of times too, we don't know exactly why we're placed in a certain position. Even if that wasn't your final destination, it gave you the community building and maybe the personality traits, the work ethic to lead you into where you are next. And I think that's something a lot of people listening will be able to relate to. Maybe they feel they're in a season, I don't want to be in this job. I don't want to be in this relationship. But when you take a step back and you're like, how is this helping me grow into the type of individual who can handle what I'm truly after? That's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that. Okay, so there's a few things that I want to get into kind of on the personal side today, which I think will massively benefit our audience. But I actually went ahead and polled my audience the other day and asked them what they would want to know from you. So if you're willing to share, take us through the evolution of after you came out of the MLM and you created Powerhouse, why and how you created it, and why do you believe out of all of your business ventures over the years, what has been so special and so significant? There's an awesome quote that I love from Mark Cuban, and he says, even if you've done 100 business ventures, had 100 ideas, it only takes one to knock it out the park. And from the outside looking in, I haven't had the privilege to get to know you super deeply yet, but from the outside looking in, Powerhouse looks like your one knockout. Everybody loves it. It's the one that just, has all the support. What has been so special and so significant about that company specifically that made it a home run?
It is always so interesting, I think, and maybe you feel this way too, because we're living the day-to-day of a business.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's not as glamorous as the parts that
no.
people get to see online.
Yeah.
So while there's such fun moments, the live event, the podcast, getting to record in person, so gratifying. But I'm going to start with that, answering that part of the question, and then we'll backtrack. The biggest difference of the person that I was when I was building the network marketing business and who I am now.
Yeah.
What that experience taught me was my own ability, my own power. I saw that I could have a vision, work toward it, and create results. But I was doing it from such a place of still needing to prove something. It was coming from this place of my worth very much being tied up in the accomplishments, the next rank, and all of it was founded in a true passion for helping people be healthy, helping them, grow. Yeah. That's what I loved. Personal development is so baked into network marketing.
Yeah.
So there was a genuine heart behind it, but I was in such a different place in my own personal growth. And when I now look at how it feels, and I think the success of Powerhouse Women is because the energy that I've built it with is completely different. It is so much more surrendered. It's intuitive. There's nothing that I'm forcing.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, a lot of even very close friends of mine will look at my business, they'll look at what I've done, and they'll say, like, you could be so much further, or it could be bigger. Not in a way that's saying I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
But I just know that whenever I go to tap into an energy of like, oh, I want to make sure this person knows who I am, or, I want this opportunity, it feels misaligned, because that was an energy that I built with before, where I was, again, just trying to prove something. I didn't realize that I had to do the foundational work of building that in myself to the point where I think what people can feel around the brand now is the energy is clean.
Yeah.
It's just not trying to be something that it's not. It's coming truly from my heart and soul.
Yeah.
I work for Powerhouse Women as a vision just the same way that my team does.
Yeah.
So my role is constantly evolving, and I'm really just the one who gets the vision and then puts the team in place to make it happen. And I think people can feel the difference when
100%.
It's not even so much alignment. It's alignment within ourselves. When it's coming from that place, I think what it does is it creates a clear channel for the vision to go further.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. 100%. And you and I were talking about this a little bit before. Most times, I would say up to 99% of the time, the internal identity that you possess is always going to far outweigh any external action you could take. Our friend Hannah actually referenced this awesome quote, and she said, the external action you take is only ever as good as the internal energetic vibration or state from which you take the action.
Yeah,
and when you're taking action out of begging or chasing or forcing or desperation, it's much different than taking aligned action because you love what you do. And I can tell you from the outside looking into like the Powerhouse community, oh my God, it just looks like the biggest group of women who love each other and support each other. And it automatically makes the viewer want to say, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And that's very rare because especially with women in this very male, centered space, it's hard to find genuine, authentic women who are not competitive, who do want to support each other and they don't see each other as competition. And I feel like you guys have hit the nail on the head with feeling so supportive rather than competitive. Was that one of your main desires when creating the community, was for it to feel non-competitive?
I would love to say that I was that intentional with every single piece of it, but I think what it is that I think our frequency as the leader, our consciousness sets the tone for everything. Even the clients we draw in, the people that we end up working with or team-wise. And so I truly have always been that way. I really do see things through an abundance mindset. That's not to say that I don't have moments that I even feel challenged. And I think that's the reason that the energy around Powerhouse Women feels clean is because we even invite those conversations into the room. Meaning, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing when we find ourselves triggered by the success of another woman. I think that's such a mirror into something that's asking to be healed within me.
100%.
And I'm just really honest about those things. So I think it makes it safe for other people to feel and acknowledge those things too. So because this journey of building Powerhouse Women, and I'll share just the brief timeline of how that happened, has been a mirror of my own personal growth. I think what it's done is it's invited others along on the journey with me. And while it's been so much fun, you know, this is our 10th year. It's like such a milestone. I don't think this is the best thing I'll ever create. I think there's so much more for me.
Because it's like as we evolve internally and we go through our personal seasons, externally, it's going to reflect back to us that level of consciousness that we possess. And as we go through hard things, challenging things, as we change, the external and things in your business might change as well. But do you feel like it's evolved so beautifully as you've gone through your, even just some trials and tribulations, but you can take what you've learned, maybe put it into the next event, put it into the next podcast and help the next girl.
Absolutely. It's so true. It's so true. So when I, you know, found myself in this season, what's so cool about the energy I'm feeling right now, and I've been feeling over about the last year, it mirrors what I was feeling 10 years ago, 2016, when I was building my network marketing business. But deep down, if I was being really honest, I just felt really restless. I couldn't figure out what was quote unquote wrong because I had, you know, built this beautiful team, this business. I was making more money than I made in corporate America, turned in my minivan. I was, you know, a full-time entrepreneur. So on the surface, you know, it just looked like it was a dream. I had reached a dream that I had set for myself several years ago. And yet I was like, gosh, it's just still not quite feeling fulfilling, I guess. So I did the thing that I knew to do, which was pour back into personal development. So my goal, I still have a document on my computer that says a book a week in 2016. That was my goal. I was going to read a book a week in 2016. And 1 week into the year, I'm on Facebook because Instagram wasn't even as big of a thing at the time, and I see this post from an acquaintance, and all it said was something to the effect of she was doing a program to help entrepreneurs get their message out in the form of a book. And I still have the screenshot of the DM I sent her because I said, I don't know why I'm messaging you. No part of me wants to write a book, but
I just felt called.
Something in me said you should ask about this. So one thing leads to another. I say yes to writing a book. And over the next, it was like a 16-week program, so 4 months. I paid $2,000 to be a part of this. So I always want to make that clear. I didn't get a book deal. I paid a lot of money. That was the most I had really ever invested in myself to learn how to self-publish. And going through that process over the course of the year, writing the book changed me. Because what it showed me was it showed me myself. It showed me every single place that I was playing small, all the ways that, the reasons that I felt really stuck in my previous business or my other business, because it was all the places where I would get to this limit where, here's what's sneaky. I don't know if you resonate with this. I've learned about myself that I can operate at 60% of my potential and it'll look like other people's 100. So it's really easy for me to stay within my comfort zone. Produce the external results. I had all that in the network marketing company, right? Enough income where it wasn't uncomfortable, but it wasn't truly what I wanted.
You're getting by. You're doing well.
I had, you know, they would put me on like the cover of their little internal magazines. It was like all this recognition, speaking opportunities. And I was sitting there wondering why I didn't feel fulfilled. Well, because I wasn't growing. I wasn't truly like stepping past what I knew myself to be capable of. And until I wrote the book and going through that writing process, I tried to quit so many times, and every single time I came up against myself, I had a moment where I was like, you can quit. That's an option, and you already know what that path looks like. So what would happen? What could happen if you just see this one through? And so the book ended up being called Powerhouse Woman, just one. And even like there's like the stories around like the publishing of like it came out, it hit Amazon bestseller, which let's be honest, it's not that hard to make a book an Amazon bestseller. You just get everyone you know to buy it on the same day. And I remember having this moment of just really allowing myself to feel the completion of that, like feel so proud of myself. It wasn't about hitting bestseller or any of these external achievements. It was the internal transformation, just like we talk about. And then I got the real test, which was, I remember I had this mantra, a girlfriend of mine, Lori Harder, I had heard her say, and this kept me going in the midst of like the hardest part of it. And it was done is better than perfect. So
I love that.
The part of me that really wanted to write something that was perfect and had no flaws and it just would never be judged or criticized, I just had to keep getting over that over the course of a year of writing. And I published the book. It hits bestseller. My editor, who had a PhD in English, mind you, she edited the whole book. I was a 4th grade spelling bee champion, so like both were pretty,
Perfect
pretty
combo.
big deals. But she called and she said, "I'm sick to my stomach." And I was like, "Did you have some weird Brazilian food for lunch? What's going on?" And she said, "There's a typo on the cover." So I had this moment of, almost like, again, this is now going to date us as being born in the 1900s, when Zach Morris and Saved by the Bell would do like the TV timeout and like everyone would freeze. And then he would speak to the camera. I had this moment where like time stopped and I realized this was the moment that I was just feeling, and this ties so much into what we're going to talk about too, with like, how do you actually create the life of your dreams? There will be these testing moments to see if you actually got the lesson. So the lesson, the breakthrough I created was finishing the book, putting it out there. Yes, it was cool that it hit bestseller. All of that was great. But the thing that I'm the most proud of is in that moment, a former version of me would have been so embarrassed. I would have pulled everything back. What people see today as Powerhouse Women, this brand, this community, like easily could not exist today. But I remember sitting there in that moment. I was like, okay, not ideal. But also, I bet I will get to share this story on stage one day. And I will get to inspire people by the fact that I didn't stop in this moment. And that book with the typo on the cover went on to inspire this little event that was just meant to be a book launch celebration, went on to become an annual event that, I mean, our biggest one to date, we had 800 women from around the world, like flying from other countries. And so, for anyone who's more at like the starting point of your journey, it's not going to be an upward trajectory the entire way. You're going to meet yourself. You're going to meet exactly the parts of you that stop you from everything that you want to achieve. It's like now the way I look at it and the way I share with my community is anytime we are calling in expansion, in that same moment, we are also asking to be shown where we're limited.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And my limitation was I needed things to be perfect. I needed to be perceived a certain way. So to get the opportunity to meet myself in that moment and choose to keep going and let it be okay that something was imperfect was such a win. And there have been like so many of those micro moments along the way that no one ever saw, right? It's like the stuff
not
we go
externally.
through privately. I mean, now I get to share it on the podcast and things like that. But, that is the moment that forever for me was the ultimate success of Powerhouse Women. It's not what people see today. It was the version of me that was so afraid of my own potential. And so afraid of, I think, what I was capable of, but I kept going.
There's, oh my God, so many golden nuggets in what you just said, but I have felt that as well along my entrepreneurial journey. Recently, I've had some huge speaking opportunities and certain things where in that moment, you almost want to retract and say, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I'm a little nervous. I am of the belief that God and the universe will only guide you into something. You wouldn't have the opportunity unless you were ready. And then once you do it, you always come back and say, that was the best thing of my life. I had so much fun. I should be doing this. But so many times I feel like we're plagued by what are other people going to think, or am I ready for this? But I feel like when that opportunity arises, when you do go forward, you end up learning so many lessons and it takes you into your next level, which
so true.
Nothing else could bring you there. So in alignment with that, I want to ask, I know a lot of my audience, and I felt this in the past as well, just in full transparency, so many women will feel that they have huge goals, big dreams, they have a big mission in life, but so many times we're plagued by the fear of what other people think. And I think a lot of your brand currently, or even just from the outside looking in, you appear so successful, so confident. You're such an inspiration to so many. But have you personally ever felt overwhelmed by what others think? And what is your best advice to young women who maybe want to get on social media or they want to do a live event, but they really are weighed down by the criticism and shame and public opinion of others? How can we reframe that to let people know that them executing on their mission that's what they're here to do. Like that's their God-given mission, and you can't let that fear of others overcome. But I know you've mentioned before as well, the worst advice to give is to just say, oh, just don't care what other people think, because we're human. We're going to care.
Telling someone who is recovering from people-pleasing tendencies, telling them not to breathe air. That's what it felt like. I was like, thank you. I had never considered that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like when you tell your dad, I'm pretty anxious today, and he's like, you're fine, do a push-up. And you're like, Dad, my anxiety is real.
It's so real. I still find myself, just this morning, there was like a very honest conversation that happened with someone I really care about. And I was the last one who, sent back a communication, and I'm finding myself in my head making up scenarios that have not happened.
Yeah.
So just to even bring you into the fact that, like, still to this day, I mean, with the versions that people see of us, it's not that we still don't have those.
Yeah.
Whatever our wound is, right? I've had to do a lot of work around. What I've realized is it's not so much caring what other people think. Here's what I found, and maybe what I wish someone would have said to me earlier on in my journey. That here's my belief: other people don't hold us back. Their judgments, their criticisms don't hold us back. I do believe that we attract in the exact people, the exact criticism, the exact judgment to mirror back to us where we're holding ourselves back.
100%.
And when you look at it through that lens, that might not make complete sense when you first hear it, but I just really want you to sit with. Someone could say to me today, Powerhouse Women is a terrible idea. You shouldn't do it. This is dumb. You're embarrassing yourself. And I would just kind of be like, well, that's clearly you need a hug. Like that's
because internally it's not the truth. Yeah.
But had they said that to me day one, event one, it would have landed differently.
Yeah.
So all that has changed is my own relationship to what I'm doing. And I've built that confidence day after day by showing up and keeping promises to myself. But when you think about it through the lens of when something triggers you, when the thought, even the thought that someone could potentially criticize you, what it's actually mirroring is a place where internally I don't fully accept myself yet.
Yeah.
So what's beautiful is I will either again, if I'm asking for expansion, I will be shown where I'm limited. Yeah. And this has happened to me in my own journey. I will be given an opportunity to see that I won't die if someone criticizes me. Yeah. Those have been some of the best experiences in my journey. They sucked in the moment. Yeah. They were so hard in the moment. They broke my heart in the moment because it doesn't feel good to be misunderstood. Yeah. It doesn't feel good when someone doesn't know your heart. And at the end of the day, it's up to me to say whether or not I let that completely stop me or whether I offer that person compassion or what that looks like. I ultimately am only triggered by the things that deep down I kind of struggle with an insecurity around that thing too. Yeah. So I try to look at it that way now where let's say someone, I'm trying to think of like a tangible example that's happened recently. There's something that's kind of like very painful that's gone on within my family dynamic, a sibling of mine that's completely estranged and had brought some like pretty harsh criticisms that over the course of the last few years, I've sat with, okay, why does this trigger me so much? On one hand, I feel like someone who's, a blood relative who knows me well, but actually doesn't know the current version of me that well, I feel like they're misunderstanding me, and that hurts. Yeah. And going back to it, once I've given myself time to process, so first I process the emotion. Yeah. I let myself feel the emotion. I don't try to bypass it.
Don't shove it down. Yeah. Acknowledge that it's there.
I mean, to be clear, I've shoved it down for years, and then it just comes back.
But we know it doesn't work.
It doesn't stay down. So then taking the time to sit with it and sit with, okay, why is this triggering me? Where's the truth here? Because a lot of times what it's showing me is there is some truth, if something really is like prickly, there's something that my ego doesn't want to see, something that I don't want to be true.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and in this case, it's, it was showing me where my wounds were interacting with their wounds, and it was causing a lot of upset.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not something, at the end of the day, I can only be responsible for the part that I bring to the table.
Yeah.
But what it's helping me do that I need, so this is the lesson I know I need, my soul needs if I'm going to go to another level. And I think the fact that it came through like such a close family member is
it's hard
for a purpose, because I had to let it be okay that these people who I deeply love may never understand me. Our lives couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
This world online and being on stages is looked at through a lens of like, who does that person think they are? And that's actually the exact wound that I'm wrestling with within myself. I'm so concerned. I've been so concerned about, will my light trigger someone else, that I hold myself back?
Yeah.
So until I was given the opportunity to really be with someone who I deeply care about, I really wish that they could like crawl inside I could just like unzip my heart. You could crawl inside and see like how much I deeply care.
Yeah.
But I can't do that. So I just get to be with, can I love myself even if someone misunderstands me? And so I share that because any of you who know you have a really big mission and platform, and you also know you have a really sensitive heart, it's the thing people love most about me.
Yeah.
But it's also the thing that I get hurt really easily because I genuinely do care. And I don't get to have one without the other. So it's realizing that it's also my strength and leaning into that, but then learning how to support myself in times that I am misunderstood. I will continue to be misunderstood if I continue to show up
and shine
in the way that I'm showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't get around that.
I think that is so relatable, and I'm so grateful that you shared that. Even with the current level of success that you possess, that is going to relate to so many people. I felt many times throughout my entrepreneurial journey. I mean, I've had tons of business ventures, but I felt a lot of times, sometimes when I have such a big dream or goal or vision, you almost feel like because you are within your own rise in consciousness and you're elevating your identity, a lot of times it can become not relatable, or who does she think she is, or she can't relate to us anymore. When at the same time, if you're someone who is deeply empathetic, like myself, I cry at the puppy, like I cry at the good, I cry at the bad. So when someone does misunderstand you, especially from the lens of social media or Instagram or the highlight reel, when you know your heart, and it can be, oh, she has money now, she has success now, she thinks she's better than everyone, when in reality, that's not it at all. Like you said, you literally wish they could crawl inside your heart and understand who you are at the core. I think that is also something that many women have dealt with. So next up, where I want to head is, we've all heard the famous quote, your network is your net worth. Obviously, you are the queen of creating a supportive, amazing community. But do you agree with that quote? And monetary value aside, how important do you think the group you surround yourself is to the quality of your life? Not only the monetary compensation in your business, but the person that you are today.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think there's a reason that some of the most successful people will recite that quote, because it's so much more about the energy and the ideas that we're surrounded by. I mean, you love to geek out about the neuroscience parts of it just as much as I do. And, I have found that to be true. Even the decision to move from Wisconsin, where I grew up, to Scottsdale, Arizona, where I live now, I remember just initially just feeling a different energy here. I felt an energy of people. There was like momentum. There was a wellness culture. And to see the difference in people who love and wanted to create roots in the Midwest. And I think just like the community I've created out here, that's like one example of it. I think it's just harder. And so many of the girls in the Powerhouse community who are in communities where it's just a more uphill battle to find people who are talking about big ideas, who are talking about possibility.
Yeah.
I think that the more we can create that for ourselves, no matter where we live, the further we can go faster, because it normalizes. And that's kind of what Powerhouse Women ended up becoming. It wasn't initially the intention I set out with, but what it ended up becoming was the answer to what I needed. I think we all end up creating that, which was a place where it felt safe to be my most ambitious self. I want to be around people that when I say, here's this crazy idea I have, they don't talk me out of it. They say,
they
well,
say, go bigger.
Here's this person
Yeah.
you need to connect with. And you could actually do that so much faster if you just did X, Y, and Z and go bigger.
Yeah.
Rather than, well, do you think that's a good idea? Or, I don't know, the economy right now. So just be really mindful who you share your big dreams with, I think, first and foremost. But then I was also looking to create a place for myself where it wasn't just about the highlights. It wasn't just about the dreams. We could also be just as real, and it felt just as safe to talk about the more vulnerable parts of it.
Yeah.
Because there's no endeavor that's more vulnerable than taking an idea that you have created within your heart and soul and bringing it to life and showing it to the world.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other things that are equally as vulnerable, like maybe being naked in front of people in Times Square, but like that's pretty equal, right? It's so vulnerable. And if we can't be honest with other people around us, if we don't have that close-knit community where we can say, gosh, like, there are things that I can't talk about publicly. I can't necessarily process out in the open. I have people who, when I'm feeling really, really challenged, I go to and we support one another through that. So I think if you are someone who has big dreams, it is vital for you to create the kind of support that you need.
100%.
Not to expect it to come to your front door. People aren't going to know that you're looking to connect.
Yeah.
If you don't have those type of people in your geographic area, you might have to get on a plane. You might have to go to an event. And I think the degree to which we are really serious about these visions of ours coming to life is the degree to which we will like really know and act accordingly. That they deserve to be supported. 100%. No one can do this alone.
And it can be really hard when you are, say, the black sheep in your family. Or like for me growing up, I was always the big dreamer. And I've been told my entire life, you're delusional, you've got your head in the clouds. And I used to take that as something so negative. And now I see it as my superpower. I am the most delusional. I believe I can do anything. And it's through that internal radical belief that I've been able to attract everything I've ever wanted. So sometimes you not fitting in with the crowd, it's because you're meant to be on the stage. It's because you've got those big goals and dreams. And a lot of times too, when people will tell you, you can't do that, who are you to dream that big? Something that I tell my students is that person's lack of belief in themselves, that's a reflection. What they say to you is a complete reflection of their level of consciousness. So when you're elevating out of that, the right people are going to come in, the business mentors, the new friends to support you. They do exist. They might not be at your current level of consciousness. So as you rise, those people will genuinely flow in to support your mission, which is so important. I've found that having a supportive community and clients and students and just best friends in general, monetary aside, it's the most powerful asset you can have because you become like the people around you.
It's so
just
true.
So important.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads into, you went into it a little bit here, but I put Powerhouse is all about having a very supportive community. And was that desire to grow that community born from your personal experience of not having a solid friend group growing up? I know you mentioned you wanted to kind of get out of the Midwest and you had huge dreams, but growing up, say teenage years, kind of leading into the early 20s, did you have a solid friend group or did you want to build that out of your current reality, not really having support?
Yeah. I actually have always had amazing women around me.
Okay.
Now, did I go through the typical things in high school, middle school? Of course.
Yeah.
I've always been like a true girl's girl.
Yeah, I love that. It's very rare to find.
Wish I could transfer like that level of confidence and just connecting to like my dating life. I think I have like a lot more wounding around like those kind of connections. And I say that because I have girlfriends that like will talk really openly, girlfriends who've really struggled or they have a lot of like friendship wounds. And I think that, I think that what Powerhouse Women, I hope, shows people and gives them a visceral experience of is the fact that it's possible. Like it's possible to be your most ambitious self and have other women who support you and want to see you win and want to champion you. I think because for me, like back to like the neuroscience behind it, it was never like, I've never had the reality that women are catty and competitive.
Okay, so you never grew up with that example.
Did it probably happen around me? Maybe.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? And I think it's important to say that because it's like, I think when we believe something to be true, we start to see evidence of that. So if you're 100%. Right now like telling yourself, no, that's the experience I've had of women, the way to start shifting it is you don't have to now just take my word for it, but just say, I wonder if there's evidence that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there are women who I would feel supported by.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Powerhouse Women community or not, but that actually is something that always came really naturally to me,
Mm-hmm.
those connections. And I think from the beginning, I just prioritized the connection piece of it.
Yeah.
I just knew that, number one, I had a really small budget. I was growing this just kind of on the side while I was still doing my network marketing business. Never intended for this to become a business, but because I didn't have a large following, I was starting from scratch.
Yeah.
I just really prioritized on connecting
Relationships.
people. Yeah. And not even connecting personally with them, although I did a lot of that in the beginning too, but just creating spaces where people knew that, okay, I might not have that community if I'm growing up in the Midwest, or I'm, building this business in a place where there's not a supportive network.
Yeah.
But I know that when I go to the Powerhouse Women Instagram, when I go to a Powerhouse Women event, I know I'm going to be surrounded with other people who are like-minded.
Yeah.
And so it just became this,
That's
it
so
wasn't
beautiful.
even intended to be a community
Yeah.
from the start, but community, I think, is just what my heart beats for,
Yeah.
like creating connection. So
Yeah.
it's also, I think, just for anyone who's, you're pursuing your dream, I do think that our natural gifts are often aligned with the thing that we are meant to build.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah, there's a few awesome things you said in there when you said what your brain scans for. In neurological terms, that's actually called confirmation bias.
Yes.
Whatever you prime your brain with, your brain is going to attain that information, analyze it, and then look for people and situations and circumstances to validate your claim. So if you grew up, just for anyone listening, and they say, I've never had supportive women in my life, your brain is going to scan literally for more situations to prove back to you, you don't have supportive women in your life.
Yeah.
But if you change that internal dialogue and you say, there are women here every day to support me, whether or not I can visually see them with my own two eyes right now, but I'm going to hold the belief that they're on their way into my life, they will manifest and they will, come into fruition. It's very, very important. So something I want to hop into, which is like totally my zone of genius as well, and I geek out on this stuff. We talked a little bit about manifestation and mindset kind of off camera. So I want to ask, how important do you think mindset is in growing your business, succeeding in life in general? But I saw a clip of you and you said, the clip said, you were referencing the quote, you have to fake it until you make it. And you said, I don't actually think that we're faking anything. And I am of the exact same belief. I personally believe that the worst, quote, manifestation advice you could give anyone is to fake it until you make it, because you're not faking anything. Quantum physics and quantum mechanics prove that every infinite version of reality already exists. So the higher version of you, the wealthy, abundant version that you desire to be, already exists energetically. And when you go internally and align your beliefs and your identity, you can quantum leap into that energy and call her or him in. So you're really not faking anything whatsoever. So what I want to ask is, on your journey and your rise in consciousness to become the successful, beautiful person that you are now, did you feel like you had to take external action steps to fake this version of you? Were you able to naturally align with her? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I was on a podcast interview, and the guest had shared something about kind of faking it till you make it. And that just was something that, like, it hit me. And I was like,
Yeah,
I can't get on board with that, because there is something also about me. I think the thing that people resonate with is it's the congruency. People use the word authenticity a lot, and I love the word authenticity, but for me, what it is, it's congruence with what I feel in the inside is what I project outwardly.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, a faking it energy is incongruent to me. And I think congruence is the new currency, especially in the age of AI. And there's so many things that are, they're going to hit our consciousness, and we're going to be observing things. Even you're maybe seeing it now on social media where you're like, it's just not real. There's something about it I'm not able to connect with, because we are evolving in consciousness. And as our consumers are evolving in, so many people are really waking up to just being able to, if they can't even put words to it, they're feeling a difference between what's real and what's not. And so if you're listening to this, and if fake it till you make it really connects with you and that empowers you and you're able to find your footing in it, use it. But I think for me, what I realize is I'm always stretching myself beyond. I'm always living into a future that's beyond the current 3D reality I'm living right now. That's literally how I've lived my life before I even knew the quantum physics and the terminology to describe it.
Yeah.
And I never felt like I was faking.
Yeah.
I felt like I was believing in something until I physically see it in my reality.
Yep.
But even by the time I physically see it, I'm on to the next thing that I'm believing for.
And your belief in that infinite potential and possibility is what will get you there. And if you're, quote, taking actions and you internally believe, I am faking this is not who I am. Something I tell my students is you'll never be able to out-manifest who you believe that you are.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about internal identity as well. But if you're taking those external steps feeling like this is not who I am, I'm faking this, you're going to be out of alignment.
And I think that's it. That's the part. It's what's your internal dialogue about it? Because if you are saying inside, I'm faking this, I hope no one figures it out, you may not be saying that externally, but your energy is.
Yeah.
And then people won't know
100%.
why, but like they're not going to really believe you. Or all of a sudden you're going to notice you're attracting in clients who are like, I don't believe you really know what you're doing, which is your deepest fear that you hope no one's going to figure out. So it's like, why don't we just skip over the faking it part? And, you know, this is where your platform and all your content is so powerful, because if you can figure out and understand how to align your identity, which is your thoughts, your words, your emotions, with what you're feeling on the inside, and then starting to take steps forward, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like, ooh, this is like putting on a new skin.
Yeah.
But understanding that eventually it does become comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's when you know that you're getting to that sweet spot where things are going to start to reflect that. But, you know, I'm like, I could go on a tangent about the fake it
I know.
part.
I feel like we could talk about that for hours. But I feel like, too, something that you just said is amazing. When you feel scared or feel fearful, it's not because that next step is impossible. It's just because it's not comfortable yet. You're not in the known. And once you continue to not fake it, but embody the future version of you that you desire to be, everything will flow into alignment. It will become more comfortable as you execute on that repeatable process. But it definitely takes time. Yeah. So another thing I wanted to hop into that we talked a little bit off camera about is that so many people think that they have to tangibly possess the $1 million or the sought after relationship to, quote, be happy. You've been very open and transparent online currently that you're kind of navigating a new season here within the past year, despite, quote, maybe not having certain tangible things at the moment, but you've mentioned that you actually feel more clear than ever. You're loving this current journey that you're on and the person that you're becoming. So explain how what you're currently going through in whatever capacity you feel comfortable, and how despite moving through that new season, which may be uncomfortable, you still have the internal certainty that your best years are yet to come.
Yeah. This is something I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to talk about, because again, I think this is not typically what you hear really successful people sharing. You'll hear people sharing about the challenge they went through 10 years ago, but
Not after the success usually.
Well, exactly. And that's not to say that everybody should. I took my time to really do the healing process before I was ready to share publicly the profound shedding and season of loss that I had gone through. So on my expansion journey in 2024, I came to a place where I even remember I could tell it was similar energy to what I described that year, that I was feeling really restless. And I knew I was kind of bumping up against myself again, and I couldn't quite see my way, to the point where I even had said my word of the year in 2024 was surprise me. And what proceeded to happen is, over the course of 2024, I mean, my business went through a major shift. I went through a major loss, like my first experience with loss, which was a soulmate pet of 13 years.
Oh, I've had that.
I know. I never got it until now. I get it. Yeah. And
was it a dog, cat?
It was our dog. Yeah, a little rescue pup named Ozzy. He was an angel.
I'll literally cry right now.
I know. Okay, we'll pause there. He was perfect in every way. And then shortly after that, it was the beginning of the end of a 13-year marriage, and in a really shocking way, a way that I wasn't at all prepared for.
Yeah.
And it sent me into this deep healing season to look at myself and to look at, the belief that even as all that was happening, number one, I felt supported. I knew, like, universally supported. I knew that I wasn't alone in it. I knew that there was going to be a purpose to this that I couldn't see. And, as things unfolded, here I am. That year, especially 2024, was our biggest event. We had 800 women in the room. Yeah. I remember getting messages from people saying, like, you're killing it. And little did they know,
Yeah.
I was going through, selling all the real estate properties. There was just a lot of elements to my specific divorce that essentially ended in a complete financial reset that I'm still just now starting to rebuild out of. And I'm so grateful to get to share that, because when had you told me, had you shown me what was going to happen, it would have been a reality that I just didn't know. I didn't even think that I could come back from, much less feel really grounded, feel abundant, like actually understand, what does it feel like to possess the frequency of abundance when the external reality says something different. And I think it's one thing
important
to believe for abundance that we haven't earned yet.
Yeah.
It's a different thing when like abundance gets taken from you in a way that you could easily be a victim.
Yeah.
There are things that you couldn't control. There's so many dynamics where I see now I got the opportunity to choose abundance in the absence of it.
Yeah.
And so now I own my relationship to abundance.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually need an abundant mindset when you just have, like I had, cash in the bank, investment properties, you name it.
Yeah.
I didn't require the belief at that point because I had the external results.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
it's
something
been
people
very
get
interesting.
wrong. Yeah.
It's like, again, I'm going to find the lesson in it.
Yeah,
and don't
for
get me
sure.
wrong. Like I went through the darkest of dark nights of the soul in just processing all of it. But to come to the other side and sit here today at the beginning of 2026, so this all really happened 2 years ago. But like I said, I'm just now actually starting to come out of the financial implications of it. I don't have a partner. I'm, I love living alone. So I'm like, that's probably not as much of a flex, but meaning like in the absence of romantic love, in the absence of having the physical, tangible money that I had before. Yes, I have a business. I have so many beautiful things, but I've truly never been happier.
Yeah.
I've never been more at peace. I've never felt more fulfilled in the absence of things, which just lets me know that those things have the freedom to come back into my life. They have the freedom to go. They have the freedom to never come back.
Yep.
And I didn't, you can hear that on a manifestation podcast. You can read that in a book.
Yeah.
But how many of us actually get the opportunity to own that knowledge, to know it in our bones? And so it's a very interesting time in my life and in my business journey, because all the things that I thought were giving me happiness or fulfillment are gone.
Yeah.
And yet here I am, happy and fulfilled.
Yeah. And what I want to say to that as well is that's when it will come. When you feel like you don't need it, I tell my students, desperation repels, but alignment is what attracts.
Yeah.
So if you've gone through this beautiful journey of personal growth and development, even with some very low lows, and you can 100% say you have the internal certainty and you can achieve that vibration and level of consciousness despite the tangible item not being there, that's when you're opening up the energetic pathway for it to flow back in. You're not begging for it. You're not chasing after it. You're willing to sit with what you're going through and learn those hard lessons, and that's when it will flow back in. And something else I think is, I commend you so much for sharing that, because so many people have had so much tangible success over the years, even if they do go through something behind the scenes where monetary compensation's taken away, or they have a breakup. A lot of people still want to be seen as, oh, she's perfect, she has it all together, she made it to the top, and they don't talk about the raw, transparent conversation. So I applaud you for being willing to be seen as a human going through things. So many people are not able.
And it goes back to the congruence piece, because for me, I just know myself enough to know that if I'm showing up, and even if I am saying, oh, it's been a really hard year for me, but then I'm out here, encouraging people and building their business or selling programs, but there's something incongruent for me where I'm saying, well, I am going to show you how to do X.
Yeah.
I know I have the ability to help women scale businesses because I've done it, right?
Yeah.
I have that evidence. And who am I missing the opportunity to actually impact if I'm keeping that part of my story hidden?
Yeah.
And like I said, I waited, I healed. I didn't share things when it was the gaping wound I'm sharing now from the healed scar.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think for those who are listening who are coaches, you're people who you feel like you need to present a certain way.
Yeah.
I just wonder who you are missing the opportunity to serve by just keeping the parts of your story that you have shame around or could have shame around secret, because I just think we're entering a phase of consciousness where people are seeking truth, and truth has a resonance to it. Again, you don't have to air all your dirty laundry. There's a lot of elements that I don't share, but I can share from the point of I do know what it's like to rebuild after financial loss. And I think that I'm going to mentor people who want to be guided by someone who knows not just what it's like to make it, but they know what it's like to lose it, quote unquote. We never actually lose anything, right? Like lose the 3D experience of it. And stayed connected and then built it back. That's just now who I get to be. So my story's not going to resonate with everybody, but I think it's just, that's what gives me freedom is there's nothing I'm not willing to be seen in. I'm willing to be seen in the highs. I'm willing to be seen in the lows. So that keeps me free. Now I'm freed up. There's not this, I think that's what it is, right? It's like so much energy expenditure trying to be someone.
Or be seen as someone who has it all together. I felt like that as well.
That's just exhausting.
Oh, exhausting.
So I just let myself off the hook.
And Ed Milet said something to go along with that, which is so good. He said, the person you are most qualified to help is the prior version of you that you used to be.
So good.
100%. So where I want to go to next is, what do you think is the big vision for you and the company, maybe some personal, maybe some business goals within the next 5 to 10 years? I feel like everyone knows Powerhouse Women now as this big, incredible name from what you just mentioned, not just building the monetary compensation, the community, but it's really a place where women from all walks of life can feel supported, heard. When you were talking about it earlier, something that came to mind, a little quote that just came in as you were explaining your mission behind Powerhouse was, this sentence just came to me, you're welcome here. Like no matter what you've been through, if the Midwest, California, Hawaii, however you grew up, like you have cultivated such a space where people feel included, supported. So I would love to know, do you have any big vision for the company in general? If you want to talk about maybe a few things personally and with business, is there another book in the works? What can we expect?
So this is my standard answer. It has been the entire time that I don't really see further out than 6 months at a time.
Okay.
Had someone showed me this stage of my life 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have known to dream this far because I hadn't built the identity yet that could see this version of it. So I think if you are someone who's growing, not to say that goals and visions aren't important, but like I said, I'm 42. So when I think about like being 52, like how much, number one, life just gets more rich and more fulfilling with every single decade. I have no idea who I'm going to be a decade from now. And I let that be okay. Like the Capricorn part of me, the one that loves to have a plan, does love to know where I'm going. But I find that I'm actually at my best. And part of the magic of Powerhouse Women is that I've given it space to become whatever it's meant to be. So, this is our 10th event.
It's incredible.
I don't think people would expect me to say this, but there's a part in my mind that kind of goes, is this the last one? I don't know. And I hold it, like if you're watching the video, like I hold everything with very open palms. I don't have a grip on what this needs to become, who I need to be. Maybe this will be the peak of what I do professionally, and then I'll do some really cool work behind the scenes. And, so I don't know.
Not having that attachment though and allowing whatever's meant to be to come in is so beautiful. Because I think especially once you receive so much success, especially year over year with the event, if it's repeatable, most people from the outside looking in at the numbers or, the audience growth would be like, oh, you've got to repeat that for the next 20 years. But the fact that you're letting whatever comes in life guide you into the next level is so beautiful. And that's going to inspire people as well, that they don't have to feel caged into one thing.
And I don't want to miss the thing that's actually for me. I think I've changed so much over the last 2 years. Of course, my work is going to change as a result. I don't
100%.
know what that looks like yet. I'm totally open to writing more books, or there's other concepts that I have, brewing in my mind, but they also feel like things that I'm not meant to go and try to make happen. So I think what I'm clear about is that my work, my purpose here is to deeply understand the transformation process. And in whatever ways I'm given, now it's through this podcast and events and is to really help guide people back to how powerful they really are.
Yeah.
Like that's who I want to work with. I want to have deep conversations with people who are willing to be that responsible for their results in life. And yes, I love to talk about business, but like ultimately at the end of the day, I am working with people who are going through identity transformations.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing that I love, like my favorite space that I serve is more intimate retreats when I work with, you know, women who are playing at the same level that we are, that are also doing this deeper identity work. Because, I mean, we're the ones out there changing the whole damn world. So, like
no, I love that. We talked earlier a little off camera about how the internal is, I feel, more prevalent than any external action step you could ever take, any business mentor, any funnel you're ever going to create. If you have that misalignment internally on an identity level, you're never going to be able to manifest or attract in that next level. So I love how you're actually transparent about the fact, you're killing it in business, but internally, you've probably elevated your identity. You've probably been 10 versions of yourself to get to the version of Lindsey that you are today. Yeah. I think that's so important. I have to, before we wrap up, I have to ask every single guest, because I'm the manifestation queen. Through your lens, I know we've talked a little bit about mindset and identity. What would be your definition of manifestation? Do you believe in manifestation? Do you believe that you've, quote, manifested or attracted any of your current success? What is kind of your lens on that? I would love to know.
I think manifestation to me is making the unseen a 3D reality. Yeah. And that's what we're all doing, whether we're using the term manifest or not. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's my favorite thing about working with entrepreneurs, or just being in conversations with entrepreneurs, because, you know, you're someone who literally took an idea from nothing.
A vision, to just a vision.
Like an actual living, breathing thing. Yeah. And I think that's what we're all here to do, especially as women. Like, we're here as creators. Yeah. We're here to create life, whether we do that through creating human life or do that through, you know, the life that we create in our businesses and our creations. Yeah. I just think being a human is so cool. I'm like grateful that my soul chose to come here and have this little go around. Yeah. And I'm just going to have as much fun as I can while I'm here. And that includes, you know, dreaming up new things that I want to see in reality, but then always coming back to the question, who do I need to become? Yes. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to is I'm setting new goals for myself, not to achieve that external thing. It's purely for the experience of becoming a new version of me. That's the thing that I get high on. Yeah. That's my drug of choice.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think the internal piece is so important. And so many times we want to get to the success. We want to get to the money, the monetary compensation, the awards, and we neglect the internal piece. And we neglect going through those deep emotional experiences that will actually develop us into the type of person we need to become. I know for me, a decade ago, I did not possess the internal traits or characteristics to hold the level of business I have now. But looking back, I wanted it so bad. I was like, God, why is it not here yet? I had so much more internal work to do. Yeah. And when that comes to the surface and you can acknowledge that. So for you, I want to ask, what advice would you give Lindsey 10 years ago, sitting here today, knowing everything that you've been through, if she was trying to execute something in business, or you said it's the 10th year of the event. So when she was first starting the event, if you could look back and give her any advice, what would that be?
I don't think I would give her advice. I think I would just encourage her, like, you're going to figure it out. Yeah. You know?
You wouldn't give her the blueprint. You would say, just enjoy what comes.
No, she wouldn't know what to do with it.
Take it as it comes. Yeah. Yeah.
She wouldn't.
I know, looking back, I'm like, would I have even been able to read this paper?
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that do I wish I could take it away from her? I'm not sure, because again, it built her, but you know, I wish I could help her maybe not be so hard on herself along the way.
That's a huge one for me as well. I can relate so hard. Looking back, I wish I was far less critical of myself, because I think we're all just figuring it out as you go. I don't know if you've experienced this as well. We didn't get to touch on it too much today, but have you ever experienced on social media, I know for many women specifically, physically, they can receive a lot of criticism on camera. You should look a certain way. You should act a certain way, talk a certain way. For me, looking back, I would totally tell my younger self, you are beautiful. You're doing the best that you can. You're going to be okay. Have you dealt, I know you've had many positives on social media. Have you ever had a time period in growing this business and just developing this new identity where you have felt critical outwardly like that? Have you had any of that experience?
Or, I mean, I think the other people just say it behind my back, so that's appreciated. But no, I mean, again,
or even of yourself. Yeah. Do you ever look back and like cringe, or are you just so happy? Are you like, you know what, she's doing the best she could have done?
Oh, of course. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I today, like, look at things and cringe, but I
Yeah.
still post them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think realizing how much, again, I think that kind of criticism hasn't shown up in my 3D reality because I'm not necessarily expecting it back to, like, what we expect to see.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't worry because I've been mean enough to myself to make up
Yeah.
for all of it, you know?
Yeah.
So just, like, really, I think that's been the beautiful gift that has come with age is just, I mean, truly realizing what a privilege it is to get older.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Just
think
even have
that's,
another day. Got to be more gentle on
it's like
ourselves.
easy to say that, but then
Mhm.
also, in my 40s, I see different things in the mirror than I did in my 30s. And just noticing that every time I meet that version of myself and I feel anything that's the opposite of love, that actually is my work. That's my real work right now is how
Mhm.
deeply can I love myself through loss? How deeply can I
Yeah.
love myself through what it is to be a woman in her 40s on the internet creating content,
Yeah.
these days. And all of these little moments, as I meet them with compassion and meet them as my next identity evolution, what it does is it actually just makes me feel more free
Yeah.
to show up however I show up
Mhm.
online and offline. And so, it's, again, I just really look at everything in my life is leading me in the path of becoming the version of myself I ultimately want to become. So yeah, but I probably could get beat up a little bit more by the internet trolls. So maybe that'll be my next
I know. I feel like
evolution.
you have such a
Who knows?
supportive community, which is such a blessing.
I know. It probably, I could do a little bit more personal growth in the getting some hate comments department.
But it's so true too, what you said, like the energetic vibration that you get back is what your brain is scanning for. So if you've done all this work and you're like, I'm just confident in who I am, I'm grateful to live another day, you're going to attract that back.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when we are internally negative or critical, I had a lot of body image issues growing up. I really tied my self-worth to my physical appearance, which looking back, I just want to hug that girl because it's obviously so untrue.
Yeah.
But when you're struggling with it, that is what you're going to attract externally. And I feel like you said, that shines a flashlight on where you still have work to do. So the fact that you've done enough internal personal growth and development to where if something does internally trigger you, you take a step back and you're not like, oh, F that person. You're like, wait, this is showing me where I need to learn and grow. It's going to be really powerful for women to hear. Yeah. So I applaud you for sharing that. So I like to end every episode with just 3 really fun questions. So first, what is the worst advice in business or in your personal life that you've ever heard?
Oh my God, the worst advice. Oh, that's a big question.
Something where someone was like, this is going to get you to $1 million, the dream relationship, and you're like, absolutely not.
Well, I think that overall, anytime that I try to outsource my own intuition,
Yes.
it's the worst path for me. It ends
The
up taking me
misalignment.
off track.
Yeah.
So there's not one piece of advice. There have been such meaningful pieces of advice that came from people who really believed in that idea and that it ended up not being for me.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of money pursuing those ideas or, building out whole business structures that then when it's built, I'm like, wait, I hate this.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
to do this at all. So it's just that. I think, the opposite would be the best advice is like really take the time to cultivate a deep connection with your own intuition. How does
Yeah.
it feel in your body when you're getting a yes versus a no? And I think that has saved me more often than I can even count.
Yeah. And it's so important when you go after what internally you're meant to do rather than what your parents think you should do, what your business mentor thinks you should do, when you are in full alignment with your goal and how you want to serve others. I feel like the external things will flow in so naturally. There'll be no begging or chasing because you're doing what you are meant to do. And that's really, really great as well for external advice. So we kind of touched on this a few minutes ago, but my last question I ask every guest is, if you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self anything, I know you touched on it a little bit, but what would that be?
Well, this is going to be very specific. Break up with him. That's it.
Throw that
That's
man
all.
in the trash.
No, the one at 20 for sure should have broken up with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, I've had a few of those. And isn't it funny though, looking back, you're telling your parents, oh, this is my soulmate.
Oh,
this is the one.
Oh, yeah.
And your dad is like, absolutely not. For me, every time my parents told me a friend or a boyfriend wasn't the one, and I fought to the death, they were always right. Always
yeah,
right.
I
Always
know.
right.
Again.
Oof. I would tell myself, don't cut bangs.
Also, really good life advice. Because you can get
No.
clip-in ones now.
Yeah.
So you can live the bang
And you can
life.
just face app a little bang on there. You don't even have to do it.
There you go.
I would say absolutely not. Goodness. Well, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for coming on. I know my audience is just going to massively benefit, not just from the business strategy and the things I was excited to chat about, but the fact that you are willing to be so transparent. And I want to say authentic, but now you've kind of switched my mindset to be so in congruency with who you are.
Yeah.
You are just incredible. I want to congratulate you on everything. My audience is going to love this episode. I know they know where to find you, but on socials and on your website, where can I direct them?
The best place is probably Instagram, you know, and it's so sweet. I got a DM this morning that was like, "Hi, Lindsey's team." I was like, no, it's just Lindsey.
You're like, it's me.
Like, we're not, I have one full-time incredible team member who supports me, but it's just me. You can reach me directly. If you want to send me any hate comments just to build my my self-esteem, to help me really work through that, you can send those to me on Instagram, or love comments. I'll take those too.
Yeah, love that. Well, thank you so much for being on. You are incredible. I will direct everyone your way, and I can't wait for the next one.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks.